we're back in our Let's Learn Together program. I'm sorry for the little technical problems we've been having. Let's hope everything will be okay. My name is Eva. I'm glad you could join us today. These webinars were initiated by Microsoft with the intention to bring exceptional school projects closer to teachers and educators across Europe. So today we're hosting a teacher from United Kingdom, Mrs. Jan Webb, who's going to present her project, Working in a Classroom Without Walls. Mrs. Webb won an award with this project on this year's Innovative Teachers Forum held in Berlin, and is traveling to Worldwide Innovative Education Forum, which will be held this month in South Africa. Mr. Darko Jurekovic, Partners in Learning Manager for Microsoft Croatia, unfortunately couldn't be here with us today, but he sends his regards to all the participants. Jen, thank you for being with us and for accepting to present your project online. I'm sure all the participants will enjoy hearing about the project that was awarded as the best one in the collaboration category. So Jen, tell us more about it.
Hi everybody, it's great to be with you this afternoon and to have a chance to share my project with you. It's also great to see some names on there that I recognise that I met in Berlin earlier this year, and I hope you enjoy listening to this. The project, as Eva's just said, won an award at the UK Innovative Education Forum earlier this year, and it was a great event to be able to attend and a great privilege to be there. On this first slide, you'll be able to see a few of my contact details, and you'll also see a little bit of an avatar at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. That's me in my purple frock, and in the background, you'll be able to see a little bit of a globe thing going on, which hints at the global collaborations that I'm going to be telling you about today. So first of all, let me just tell you a little bit about my school and where we're located in the UK. It just seems to be a bit slow loading up the image on my computer screen. The school is located in a small village just outside of a town called Crewe. And Crewe is a fairly central in the UK. It's well known for its background in railways, and it's about an hour away from Liverpool, about an hour. So it's quite easy to get to some of the very large cities from where we are. There's 232 pupils in the school at the moment. We have a head teacher. We have about 12 teachers, some of whom are part-timers, and 7 teaching assistants. It's a primary school that I'm working in, which is 4 to 11 years of age, and I currently teach a year 4 class, so they're about 8 to 9 years old. I've also got a responsibility in the school as an ICT coordinator, so I look after that part of the resources in school, and from January this year I've been an e-learning lead teacher throughout Cheshire. From November, I'm going to be actually going out into other schools 2 days a week as an ICT consultant, so for the county as well, so supporting other schools in their use of ICT too. So the project itself that I'm going to talk to you about today, I'm going to split today's presentation up into 3 parts. I'm going to tell you about some work that we did with the school called Temasek in Singapore, and then I'm going to tell you about some work that we did with the school in Brunei called Hornbill. And then the third part of today, I would like to tell you a little bit about how we developed some of the ideas from the project in our school. All the work that we've done has been based on our learning platform or virtual learning environment, VLE. Our learning platform provider is Uniservity, and I think the actual background of the whole learning platform is actually based on Microsoft SharePoint. The whole point of the project was that it was a little bit of a snowball effect. If you can imagine a snowball at the top of a great big mountain, and as it rolls down, it gathers more snow and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, it was a little bit like that with the learning from this project. We started off with little bits of knowledge, and as we shared and collaborated with each other and with the other schools, the learning grew and grew. We were building knowledge together between the schools. This co-construction of knowledge is facilitated by the technology that we were using, but it was very much the learning was at the centre of what was going on, and the technology started to take a secondary role. One of the other features of the project was that actually, because it was a cross-curricular project, we were able to kill more than one bird with a stone, which is a bit of a saying in the UK. If you can kill more than one bird with a stone, it means you can achieve more than one objective by doing one thing. So the project meant we were able to address cross-curricular learning objectives, and it made the use of the time that we had in the classroom very much more efficient. So the first part of the project was actually set up with a school in Singapore. The link came from our learning platform providers, Uniservity, who put us in touch with the school who wanted to do a healthy living project, which fitted in quite well with our curriculum as well. The Temasek project itself, this can be subdivided into 3 groups as well. So let me tell you first of all about the Friendship Forum, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the information wikis that we did and the shared science experiment. So the Friendship Forum that we did, first of all, we thought it was very, very important when we were starting out on a project with another school to actually build some relationships with those people from the school, so that we could learn more effectively together. I think it's very important. We learn through relationships with each other. We learn through relationships with our teachers. We learn through relationships with our peers. And it's great if we know something about those we're learning with, because it helps us to build trust and find that common ground. The children would discuss the sort of music they were interested in, the books they read, TV programmes and so on. They asked each other questions, and some of them were even so motivated by the discussion that we had reports of one pupil logging on when she was on holiday in France just to check responses on the forum. And we also discovered via the forum that one of the children's grandparents had actually spent time living in Singapore, and they hadn't known much about this part of their parents' and grandparents' life. So it was very interesting to be able to involve them in the discussion that was going on. Of course, when we were starting to share information online, one of the big considerations is staying safe online. And because we work in a learning platform, we've got a password protected environment, a walled garden environment, so that the children are able to talk safely to other people who we know. It's not just the general public that are able to have access to this. But it still gave us an authentic context to talk about e-safety. It meant that we were talking to the children about what pictures they would want to put up about themselves. Would it be safe to actually put a photograph up of themselves? What could happen if they put different pictures of themselves up online, and what pictures would be appropriate? And we decided to present ourselves using avatars rather than photographs. They used Doppelme to actually create these avatars. We've used various other tools as well for making avatars in school, and we were able to discuss what information it's appropriate to share online, who it is that you might give that information to, which sort of information you might want to keep public, which sort of information you'd want to keep private. And it started to involve families in discussions, as I've already said. Then once we'd actually built up those relationships and those links with the children in Temasek, we were able to embark on our Healthy Living project. This whole project with Temasek took place over the course of a week, so children were able to add bits of information all the time. We used a tool called a wiki on the learning platform, and wikis you'll probably all be familiar with, I'm sure, but wikis are a tool where people can co-construct pages online. So one person can write a little bit, another person can add a little bit more and improve it. Probably the most famous one is Wikipedia, which has something of a reputation for people going on and putting whatever extraneous information that they want. But it has a lot of power as well, because you've got self-editing and peer editing going on all the time. And using that sort of tool with our class enabled us to be able to share information together. On the wiki itself, you'll be able to see that there's different pages that talk about different subject areas, different parts of that topic, and let's see. So we were talking about healthy eating, sport and fitness. So we broke the topic down into different sections. We sort of discovered quite early on that if children were co-editing a page at the same time, they would wipe off each other's work. which could be a little bit inconvenient. So we set up different pages, and one group might be working on healthy eating while another group was working on exercise and fitness. So they were starting to pull these pages together, adding to each other's ideas, and they were using the discuss and comment tools to give each other feedback. It was quite evident that the children were editing each other's work as they were going along, because they knew that other people would be reading their work. They had an audience, an authentic audience, a real audience of real children over in Singapore who would be reading what they were writing. So they would correct each other's spellings, they would add punctuation, and they would generally improve the appearance of each other's work as they were going along. And you can see that, you know, a font will change halfway down a page because somebody else has gone and added an extra bit of information. We'd only used wikis a couple of times before this, and so we did make some mistakes and we did lose some work. Fortunately, wikis also have an article history, so we could go back and we could copy and paste in anything that had been lost. The discuss and comment tools meant that the children were able to give each other feedback all the way through the course of the discussion, all the way through the week. And then towards the end of the week, we were also carrying out a moving and growing experiment. We were measuring different parts of the body and seeing what happened to them as we got older. So children would be measuring arm length and leg length and height and weight and so on, and they would be gathering all the information about that. It's an experiment that's carried out quite frequently with Year 4 children in the UK, because it fits the part of one of our QCA curriculum areas of moving and growing. Now, of course, because we were working with the school in Temasek, it seemed really sensible to try and involve them in our experiment as well. So we asked them to collect the same data, and we had to try and explain to them over the internet how to make that a fair test. And we were sending photographs of arm length and so on, of children measuring the different things such as handspans, so that they knew exactly what it was that we were talking about. So collecting the data and sharing information about how we were making our tests there was really very important for the children, and it's a great skill for them to have learnt about science as well. And once we got the data, we actually collected it all on a shared Excel spreadsheet, and the children were then able to analyse it. So then we started moving into maths areas as well, so we were doing a little bit of science as well. And they were able to see lots and lots of similarities between the measurements of children of a similar age in other countries too. And even though scattergraphs are not something that we'd normally ask children to analyse at this age in our country, then the children are actually able to see something of a pattern, something of a trend within the graphs that they produced on Excel. So that was such an interesting project. And our whole class topic for the term was actually rainforest. So we asked the kids in Singapore if they were able to visit a rainforest on our behalf, and unfortunately they weren't. But we were put in touch with another school in Brunei who were very, very close to a rainforest. So this is the second part of our project. We finished our week's worth of work with Temasek, and then we started on a second half of the project with the school in Brunei. And we used a lot of the things that we'd learnt from our work with Temasek, particularly some not losing work as we were going along. And the project with Brunei took the form of 3 parts as well. So there was again a friendship forum where the children were able to ask each other questions and find out about what life was like in another country. One of the great conversations that happened this time was about snow. Because the children in Brunei had never actually seen snow before. So I'll just show this a bit closer up. So the conversation started and just snowballed really. It enabled the children to start to build up relationships. They were finding out about what life was like, and they were also able to ask each other what they already knew about Brunei and what the children in Brunei knew about the UK, about Cheshire, our own county. So we're starting to build up those relationships again in the context of an e-safety background, so the children were using avatars once more. And then we asked the children in Brunei to go on a school trip to the rainforest on our behalf and to take pictures and to share their experiences back with us, which was absolutely fantastic. And they did some of that via the Friendship Forum, so the class were able to ask questions and so on. And then we started to build some information pages on a shared wiki. I think one of the things that we'd learnt with Temasek was that we'd set up 2 separate wikis, one on their learning platform and one on our learning platform, so we had to keep moving between the 2 sites. This time we simply hosted the wiki on one learning platform, which made life a lot simpler and a lot more efficient for everybody who was taking part in it. And again, we set up topic areas that people were going to go away and find out about. So the children in Brunei added their photographs, added their information, and our class went away and they shared their own research. And some of the research they did online, some of the research they did through books, and they went and shared that and built on the information that the children in Hornbill had given them. So starting to build those ideas, starting to spread that knowledge and share those ideas with each other. And when one group had finished on one part of the wiki, then they would go and work on a different part. So they were moving between the different topic areas. And one of the important things that we were able to do was we were getting more and more impact from the providing the children effective feedback as well. And once they'd done the information wiki, we sort of looked at various other subject areas. This particular part of the project with Brunei took substantially longer than the week that we did with Temasek. It took place over about 3 or 4 weeks, so we were able to be very, very creative. The children were learning all about various rainforest issues, deforestation, climate change issues, and they were able to make some radio adverts. Part of our literacy unit was persuasive writing, so we listened to lots and lots of different adverts, and we used Audacity and we used music clips, and we made our own adverts, recording them just with a simple microphone and Audacity on the computers at the school. Okay. One of the other things that we did was we researched some artwork that was based around rainforest, and the children were able to just share their artwork with the children in Brunei as well. So it's another great way of being able to give each other feedback. Right, so what have we done since? Well, it was such a great project. It was a great experience for us, that we wanted to develop it further and try out different ideas, try out different tools. We've had a go earlier on this year at using Skype to connect. You can actually see my class talking to another class in Wales in this image here. We shared a literacy unit about a short animation called The Shirt Machine. And the children were writing explanation text for this. But it's a very imaginative film, and there's some amazing shirts that have been designed in this film that do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, like making you invisible or being edible. So these shirts really fired the children's imagination. They were able to share with the children in Wales what sort of shirt they would design if they could make a magical shirt of any sort. So we shared it for our literacy unit, and we also involved a teacher from Brazil who was also embarking on using wikis, and he was kind enough to come and have Skype conversations with the class, and he was able to become familiar with wiki tools by joining in with what we were doing in our unit of work, and then he was able then to go and use those with his own students. We did have a few hitches on this one. The main hitch that we had with our project this time was because the school in Wales was snowed in for several days, and I think they had about 7 or 8 days where they were actually unable to get to school to take part in the project. Unfortunately, because we hadn't set them all up individually and they weren't so familiar with our learning platform, they weren't able to continue that from home, but that would have been fantastic if we'd been able to do that. So Skype's a great one for being able to connect. I'm just whizzing through rather too fast and missing out slides. Right. The way that we used the wikis for this literacy unit on the shared machine was to start getting the children to rehearse what they were going to write. So we used the digital voice recorder on the learning platform for the children to practice their sentences, their phrases, to start planning out their story. Quite often ICT is just used for the final published product, but this is actually part of the formative part learning process. So the children were planning using this as a tool and then writing up neatly as their final outcome for the unit of work. They were getting more and more practiced at using feedback on the wiki, so they were able to give each other 2 stars and a wish for their feedback. So 2 stars are the 2 areas that you think are really, really good about a piece of work, and 1 wish is the one thing that you think, I would like to see this bit improved. So the children were getting much more efficient at being able to give each other feedback. And we've been experimenting with a wide variety of Web 2 tools. We've been looking at things like Primary Pad that support collaborative writing. We've been looking at online survey tools. We've embedded various things into our learning platforms, such as Woolwisher, which has been great at the start of topics and great at the end of topics. And even for poetic writing, it's enabled the children to collect poetic words and phrases. There's been a huge potential for using Woolwisher, and I can see us using it a lot more in school. But one of my favourites that we've found out about this year has been VoiceThread, and that's one that we've been using quite a lot in school, both for modern foreign languages and also for trying to involve parents in what the children are doing at school. And we've been able to embed these voice threads into the learning platforms for ease of access for everybody as well. We've set up a handwriting voice thread where the children have actually had pictures taken of their handwriting, and parents and pupils are able to give 2 stars and a wish for feedback on handwriting. And one of our most successful uses has been where Year 4s joined up with Year 6s to do a Spanish cafe. So the children were having a role play activity about a Spanish cafe and using the language, what they were learning in Spanish about food, about restaurants, about cafes, and they recorded what they'd used in their role play after the event just to consolidate their learning and to publish what they'd been doing. Whizzing. I think I pressed the button too many times just then. Right. One of the other great ways that we've been able to use it is to, again, collaborate with other schools. We collaborated with a school in Australia in the summer. In fact, the project even made the Sydney Morning Herald, which I thought was quite amusing, that our school in Crewe had actually made a newspaper in Australia. We were doing Aboriginal dot paintings, and it just so happened that another teacher that I was talking to on Twitter was also doing Aboriginal dot paintings with her class. So we shared. She got her class to actually put their pictures into a voice thread, and they told us about what their pictures meant. And we put our pictures into a voice thread and explained what our pictures meant, and then we were able to give each other two stars and a wish. They gave us some tips about how to improve our painting, and we were using literacy skills and so on to prepare our explanations, so and make those clear to other people. So great range of skills there, but based on an art project this time. Of course, when you're introducing something like new tools to pupils, it takes a little bit of time for them to have built those skills up where we could use those wikis and those forums to such an effect to support learning. We had to go through steps in the first place. first of all, we had to introduce the learning platform to the pupils, and that was really something that we did during the autumn term. And I'd sort of set homework and spellings via the learning platform. We used forums then. We collected spelling patterns on a wiki, and we were starting to get the pupils to podcast independently. So the children were getting increasingly confident about using the tools and beginning to understand how they could apply some of the knowledge that they were using, but that was done in a very supported way. By the spring term, we were sort of trying to build on those skills a little bit more, so the children were actually taking a little bit more of an active role in this. So by spring this year, they were learning more about Web 2 tools, they were learning more about how this helps us to communicate with the wider world. And they were taking part in collaborations and using those forums and wikis for learning. And they were becoming increasingly independent in the work that they were doing. And the sort of work that we were doing with the tools I've just been describing were becoming a little bit different to the ways that we might normally teach. They're not easily replicated by traditional pedagogies, by traditional teaching methods, and it means that the children, instead of having, say, one person next to them or a couple of people on their table that they're sharing their ideas with and getting feedback from, they're getting feedback and ideas from a much wider group of people, which is going to expand their knowledge and their understanding even further. And they were the steps that we went through before we got to the summer term, and the children were actually taking part in the extended project that was then entered as the VCT, the virtual classroom tool that was entered into the competitions. So basically the reason that I thought those steps were very, very important is because then we have a wallpaper effect going on. These tools are absolutely fantastic, but sometimes when we try out a new tool, it can take longer for us to figure out what the tool is doing, and the learning sort of gets lost along the way. So for me, those steps in building up those skills was really crucial, so that in the same way as if you've had wallpaper up on the wall for a very, very long time at home, you stop noticing it. Then, because the children were very familiar with these tools, we stopped noticing the tools and we became more focused on the learning and on the feedback that they were able to give each other. Obviously, sort of sharing practice has been really, really important as a follow-up to this project, and it's been fantastic to be able to share planning and teaching with other staff in my own school. So that they've been able to use these tools themselves increasingly with the work in their classrooms. We've been increasingly able to involve parents. It's been a huge privilege to be able to go to other schools in the county and talk to them and show them how we've been using those tools. I've used links on Twitter to communicate what we've been doing and to find out ideas about what other people have been doing as well. Teach Meets have been a great way of sharing practice more widely. Teach Meets are meetings where teachers get together in an evening and will give 2 or 7-minute presentations about the work that they've been doing, something that has worked for them in their classroom. It might be a new tool that they've been using, or an idea that they've had that has affected their teaching. And those ways of sharing practice have been great. I've also been using blogging, and of course there's 2 different types of collaboration that can take place between schools. Some of them are very short term and they're based on one particular area of interest, such as the Aboriginal dot paintings that we did in the summer term. And some projects take a lot longer and need a little bit more structure to be able to do them. The Aboriginal dot painting that we did with the voice thread was set up via a Twitter link, but it was really immediate and it was very spontaneous, and it was done based on the work that we were doing there and then and right now. But we want to be able to have sustainable links in our school so that other teachers can also use those links and be able to build on those in the future. So the school's recently become involved in e-twinning. I've been over to a workshop in Poland earlier on this year, so we've been able to build up some links and relationships which are enabling us to plan a longer term, more structured project for the spring term next year. So a lot of exciting things still to do, but a great opportunity for sharing teaching with other classes in other schools in other countries, and broadening the pupils' horizons. I hope you've enjoyed listening to that, and I'm sure if there's any more questions, I'm sure you'll be able to answer that. Well, you'll be able to ask those as well. Okay.
Thank you, Jen, for this great presentation, for telling us more about this great project. This is something that any teacher can easily do, so let's hope this will motivate them to connect to others and to collaborate with other educators in schools. So let's see if we have any questions from the participants. If there's anything you would like to know, you can ask orally by turning on your microphone, or by using the questions and answers tool from the menu in the bottom left corner. Okay, Bridget says, hello, Jan. I think there's something else
Hi,
that was
Bridget.
meant. Okay, that's it for now. Okay, we'll wait for a question from Bridget. In the meanwhile, how did you get the idea for this project?
It sort of evolved and grew as it went along. I don't quite know where the project idea came from in the first place. I'd seen lots and lots of different tools. I'd tried out different tools with my class, and then the opportunity arose, and we just put them into practice fairly quickly. I've just seen the rest of Bridget's question.
Yeah.
Hi, Bridget. It's great to hear from you. We met in Berlin. I think Bridget's stand was just along from mine, so we had lots of opportunities to chat. We actually use a learning platform from a provider called Uniservity. So it's like university, but with the S and the other way round.
Okay, just for the others, because the other participants can't see the questions that we can. So Bridget asked, what kind of a learning platform do you use? That was the question.
Yeah. Yes, sorry.
It's okay, don't worry. So which grades are involved in this? How old are the kids?
Well, the project that I've been talking about today was done with Year 4 pupils, so they were 8 and 9-year-olds, but we've used the learning platform now throughout the whole school. We've had foundation stage children who are 4 or 5 years old using the voice recorder on there to talk about parts of a plant, for example. We've used forums for our Year 1 pupils, 5, 6-year-olds, to be able to take a bear home and record a diary about what he was doing. And we've used the voice recorders with younger children in place of typing, which can take quite a long time with little ones. We're also able to use sort of picture logins with the little ones instead of typed words, which can also help them as well, because they got a visual clue, so they have a series of pictures that they put in instead of how you and I might type in a word or a phrase or something along those lines for our own passwords. So that's helped, and it's gone right through to Year 6. So our 10, 11-year-olds are building quite complicated wikis and using those to do quest stories and various other topic work as well.
And what about this project? Do you now do it every year with other other students that come to your school? Like, do you repeat it?
Yeah, we've been able to repeat elements of the Rainforest project. I think it depends very much on who else is available as well to join in such a project too. So it's changed. We've used it in different ways. The same principles of collaborating and communicating with other people we've applied maybe in different topic area. Maybe we've picked a different area of the topic to focus on with another class, but generally the principles are there, although maybe not quite in the same form as the Healthy Living and Rainforest project, but certainly the skills are the same.
How do you find schools to collaborate with?
That's a good question, that one. Obviously, the first couple of schools that we collaborated with, I was fortunate enough to be put in touch with them to we were put in touch with them by Uniservity, our learning platform provider, initially, and since then the other links that I've made via people I've met. So the school in Wales that we collaborated with was with a teacher that I'd met at the UK Innovative Education Forum last year, and the school that we collaborated in Brazil, I'd made contact with that teacher during an Ed Chat on Twitter. Some of the other contacts I've made via Twitter, and there are certainly loads and loads of potential projects with e-twinning. We've sort of set up a project about traditional tales across Europe for next term, and we're just in the process of developing what we're going to do with the pupils there. So that's certainly, e-twinning is a great one for building sustainable long-term projects with people too.
And what about the other teachers? After seeing your successful project, are they doing something similar?
Well, I think that's where the shared planning and shared teaching came in, and I think we were able to find a way that those tools actually could be used with their own classes. So we've been building the skills. Excuse me. Sorry, tickly nose. We've been using those skills with them in their classrooms now. So we've been building up those in readiness for them then to be able to take part in collaborations too. You know, obviously I've built up some links with teachers in Lithuania and Latvia and Hungary and Poland. In my recent trip, I've sort of also built up relationships with other teachers when I've been going to different places, when I went to Berlin, for example. And I'm hoping to build up some more links when I go to the Worldwide Innovative Forum next week. So yes, yeah. It's really interesting.
I'm sure you're excited about that. What are your expectations?
I'm going with a very, very open mind. I'm sure I'm going to learn lots and lots and lots and meet some amazing educators. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Okay, can you explain what it is for the participants that are not familiar with the forum?
Okay, the Innovative Education Forum that we went to in Berlin, and I think the structure is going to be similar in a way when I go to Cape Town, was we went along and we put up our posters and our stands, and when people came around we were telling them about our projects and what we'd been doing in school. But also at the same time we were able to meet other teachers and find out what they've been doing in their schools as well. There were also workshops and lectures and keynote speakers, and so there was a broader picture that we were able to learn about as well. When we go to South Africa, I think there's a focus on some of the workshops and keynotes as well about leading change and using ICT within schools. So yes, it would be. It should be a very interesting week. So there'll be lots of people sharing their projects, and there'll be lots of learning going on as well in the other workshops and lectures.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be a great opportunity to meet teachers from all over the world and to see what they're doing. It's similar to what we're trying to do here. Projects that we present in these webinars they participated in the Innovative Teachers Forum. Each country has one. It's organized by Microsoft. Croatia has one too. So a lot of teachers that are here with us today are from Croatia. So if you are interested in applying your project, something that you have been doing in your class using technology in an innovative way in education, please feel free to try to find out more about it. Apply, and who knows, maybe one day you'll end up like Jan, winning a UK, actually Croatian, or any other country's contest and going to a worldwide forum.
Yeah, it's been a great experience, I have to say. I've just spotted that Bridget's asked another question about how
Bridget,
you collaborate.
Your microphone is on, so you can talk. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, Jen. The problem with collaborating is the language for my pupils. They don't speak English very well, and you've got an advantage. You speak English in Brunei. You found school that speak English. How do you think I can manage to work with your school, for example?
The suggestion that I have is about using online translation tools, because I think, yes, it's great for children to practice speaking a different language, but sometimes to maintain the pace of a conversation or a project, you need to be able to communicate in your own language. And I think there's so many translate tools now that make life a lot easier and make it possible to communicate with people even when we don't have a shared language. When I went to Poland, certainly a couple of the teachers that I was working with from Latvia and Hungary didn't speak great English themselves, but when we were unsure of what we were doing, we were putting up something like Google Translate or another tool, and we were typing in what our questions were. So we were still able to share and communicate with each other, even though we didn't always have that same language.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so a language doesn't have to be a barrier between collaboration.
No.
Okay. Exactly, yeah.
If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, I think we can pretend if you're doing this tomorrow, it's called Hollandia. The women will start speaking Indo-Europeans. I hope we'll find time in your schedule to hear more on how to deal with the problem of internet safety. Jan, thank you again for this great presentation, for telling us more about it. I wish you best of luck in South Africa. Hopefully you'll let us know how it went. I'm sure you'll do very good. Very well, I'm sorry. There goes my English.
That's okay. Thanks very much, Eva. It's been great to talk to you this afternoon. Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
It's been a pleasure. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.